Hey everyone. We're about to dive into a topic that makes most of us, well, groan a little bit on the inside, the business meeting. But what if I told you we could actually transform those meetings, turn them from a total time sink into a real, genuine productivity powerhouse? Okay, let's get into it.
Just take a second and think about your work week. Come on, be honest. What's the one thing that just drains your energy, feels totally inefficient, the thing you wish you could just scrap from your calendar? I think we all have the same answer in our heads.
Yep, bad meetings. We've all been there. You know the ones, they wander off into the weeds, they could have been a quick email, or you walk out the door wondering, what did we actually accomplish? It's a universal pain point, for sure. But the good news, it is totally fixable. And that's what we're going to break down today.
So, where do we even start? Well, the first step to a better meeting happens way before you hit send on that invite. It's all about choosing the right arena for the conversation. I mean, you wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, right? So you definitely shouldn't use the wrong meeting type for your goal.
Okay, so you've basically got two main flavors to choose from. Face-to-face, it's unbeatable for building real connections and for those high-stakes talks where you absolutely need to read the room. Then you've got virtual meetings. They offer just incredible flexibility, and they're pretty much essential for making sure your remote teammates are included. The only catch? You're kind of at the mercy of your Wi-Fi, and you do miss out on all those little nonverbal cues.
But in today's world, there's a third option that's popping up everywhere, and that's the hybrid meeting. It's an attempt to get the best of both worlds by mixing people who are in the room with people who are dialing in.
And this is where it gets tricky. The hybrid model is a real challenge. You can't just plop a laptop on the conference table and call it a day. The absolute key here is careful, intentional planning. You have to design the experience so you don't end up with two different meetings happening at once, one for the roomies and one for the Zoomies. The goal is to make sure everyone, no matter where they are, has an equal voice.
So you've picked your format. What's next? Well, now we get to what is, without a doubt, the single most important document for any meeting, the agenda. And listen, this isn't just a to-do list. This is your blueprint for success. I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. An agenda is really a sign of respect. It says to everyone you've invited, hey, I value your time, I've got a plan, and we are going to get something real done together.
So how do you actually build a great one? It comes down to these three simple but super powerful steps. First, obviously outline your topics. Second, and this one is critical, put a time limit on each one. It forces you to stay focused. But that third step, that's the real game changer. Define the expected outcome. For each item, are we deciding, brainstorming, or just informing? Knowing the why behind each topic changes everything.
Okay, you've picked your format, you've got a killer agenda, now it's showtime. It's time to actually run the meeting. This is where all that prep work really starts to pay off.
Every great meeting needs a great facilitator. And let's be clear, this isn't always the manager or the most senior person. The facilitator is the person whose one and only job is to guide the conversation, to keep everyone on track, and most importantly, to make sure every single person in that meeting gets heard. Think of them as the conductor of the orchestra. So how do they do that? Well, a round robin is a great tool. Just go around the virtual or physical room and give everyone a turn to speak. It's simple, but it ensures the quieter folks get their say. You also want to ask open-ended questions, not just yes or no stuff. That's what really sparks a good discussion. And of course, a well-run brainstorming session can be pure gold for new ideas.
You know, another really powerful technique for keeping people engaged goes way beyond just talking. It's all about making your ideas visible.
And that is where visuals come in. We're talking slides, charts, graphs. They are not just fluff. They're tools that help our brains chew on complex info. I mean, a good chart can explain something in 5 seconds that would take you 5 minutes to say out loud. It just keeps people locked in and makes everything way more memorable. And speaking of visuals, let's say the whole point of your meeting is to make a decision. Having a clear process is absolutely vital. This chart lays out a few ways to get there. You could try to build consensus where everyone gets on board, or you could just take a simple vote. Or for something more complex, you could use a tool like a decision matrix. Honestly, the specific method matters less than just having a method in the first place. All right, we're getting close to the end, but listen, this next part, it might be the most important piece of the whole puzzle, because a meeting's real value isn't measured when everybody leaves the room. It's measured by what happens after.
Let that one sink in for a second. A meeting without follow-up is just a conversation. All those great ideas, all that amazing discussion, it means absolutely nothing if it doesn't lead to action. The follow-up is what turns talk into traction.
And a killer follow-up really just stands on these 3 pillars. You've got to document the specific action items. Then you assign each one a clear owner. And finally, you give it a deadline. This simple little formula, the what, the who, and the when, it creates clarity, it creates accountability, and it makes sure all that great momentum from the meeting doesn't just evaporate.
Okay, last point. For real long-term improvement, we need to ask ourselves this one simple question. We don't want to just have one good meeting. We want to build a culture of good meetings.
And that is exactly what a feedback loop is for. And look, it doesn't have to be some complicated formal survey. It can be as simple as asking at the end of the meeting, hey, what worked well here, and what's one thing we could do better next time? This simple habit creates a cycle of improvement that makes every meeting better than the last.
So if you walk away with just one single thing today, let it be this. A great meeting isn't improvised, it's designed. From picking the format, to writing the agenda, to running the room, and especially to following up, every single step is an act of intentional, thoughtful design. Great meetings just don't happen by accident.
So as we wrap up, go ahead, pull up your calendar. I bet you've got a meeting coming up pretty soon. The only question is, now that you have these tools, what are you going to do to make sure it's an asset that pushes things forward and not just another anchor that weighs everybody down? The choice really is yours. Thanks for tuning in.